Hello, Techie. Welcome to this comprehensive course in JavaScript designed to equip you with the essential knowledge you need for web development, especially if you are planning to dive into the modern frameworks like React. In this course, we will explore key JavaScript concepts that form the backbone of almost all JavaScript applications. Whether you are building a small script or working on a large-scale application, you will gain a deep understanding of functions, object scope, and closures, concepts that are crucial for writing clean and maintainable code. Additionally, we dive into ES6 features like arrow function, let and const, template literals, and more, which are widely used in modern web development or JavaScript development projects. So in this course, we'll focus on JavaScript functions, JavaScript objects, scope and closures, as well as ES6 features. Stay with me to the end and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Let's get started. In this session, we are going to talk about variables. What are variables in JavaScript? So think of variables this way. Assuming you are in your kitchen, alright, and you are preparing your favorite soup, okay? Let's say you have different containers for keeping different ingredients, alright? So you have a container for keeping your salt, you have a container for keeping your sugar, you have a container for keeping your garden eggs, your eggs, and all these foodstuffs, alright, they are kept in different containers. So whenever you are in the middle of preparing the food and you need to add salt, what do? You reach out to take the salt container, and from the salt container you take what? A pinch of salt, and you put it into your soup. The same applies to coding or programming. Okay, when you are programming or when you are coding, sometimes you may need to store certain things, alright, store certain content, numbers, names, alright, in places so that you can access them easily when you need them. So think of variables as containers. Okay, so we have the salt container, you have the sugar container, alright, and inside the sugar container you have the sugar here, inside the salt container you have your salt here. So when you need salt, you just have to reach out to your hand and take the salt container and take your pinch of salt that you need from it. You understand? So let's see. We have three ways of declaring variables in JavaScript. Okay, we have three ways of declaring variables in JavaScript. Okay, we have using one, the let keyword, we have const keyword, and then we have the val keyword, like that. Okay, so these are the three major ways of the three ways of declaring variables in JavaScript. Declare a variable called, let's say, name, and give it to Kobe. All right, so what does this actually mean? This means that we have a name called Kobe and we are putting it inside a container called name. So whenever we need Kobe, we go and take the container called name. You understand? So another example, we have let's say salts equal to iodine, like that, iodine salt, like that. So whenever, this is also an example of a variable. So what is the variable itself? The salt here is the variable. Okay, so the salt is the container that is keeping this data that we need. So whenever we need to use iodine salt, we go for the salt variable name. Okay, and like I said, variables can store different kinds of data types. Okay, so it can be numbers, so you can do something like let age equal to 5. So this is a string and this is a number. We can also have a boolean, so we can have let a student is equal to true. So now this is called a boolean. So variables can store different kinds of data types. We'll look into detail the difference between the var, the const, and the let in the long run. So how do you write variable names? How do you write variable names? How to write variable names? How do you do that? Now, there are certain rules that you need to follow when writing variable names, like this. Example, you cannot write the name or give the name of your container or your variable like let my age equal to 54. This here is wrong, right? It is wrong, and it has been underlined, as you can see. So in programming or in JavaScript, we have ways of naming variables. That is using the Pascal case. That is the first one. You can use Pascal case. You can use camel case, and you can use snake case. But I mostly use the Pascal case. Oh, sorry, there is camel case. And how do you do that? All right. So the number one rule in writing variable names is that don't leave spaces and don't start with a number. Don't leave spaces and don't start with a number. So you cannot do something like my age. You can see there's a space between here. No, you're supposed to bring them together like this, or you bring an underscore like that, my age, or you can capitalize this one and do something like this, my age. This is the right way. Don't leave spaces like this. No, you bring them together. And you cannot do something like 5 like this. You start with a number. That is wrong. Okay, that is wrong. So let's delete that one. So that is how to write variable names. Don't leave spaces and don't start with numbers. You must also go by one. You must go with a certain convention, that is either using the Pascal case, a camel case, or the snake case writing. And this is what the camel case, where you capitalize the beginning of each particular word. So my age is true, something like this. This is camel case. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, basic variable types include strings and numbers and booleans, like I said earlier on. Declaring variables. How do you declare variables? Like I said, we have 3 ways using the let. So let's say variable declaration. So we have one using the var. All right. Now the var is an older syntax. Yes, it's an old way, older syntax. Yes, and we have let's. That is the modern block scope. A way of declaring variables, and you have consts. All right, const is there, constant block scope. Now you understand this in a moment. So when do we use let, and when do we use const, and when do we use var? Okay, so we use let whenever you think that you will definitely change the value in the long run. So let name equal to what? Kobe. You understand? So let's say in the long run I want to change the name from, let's say, name equal to Francis. We can do console.log. Let's make it my name instead. My name. Console.log my name. What is happening here? We initially defined my name as Kobe, and we have reassigned a different value called Francis. So when I try to print my name out, it prints what? Francis. So whenever you know that in the long run you might be reassigning the value of a variable, then you can go in for what? let, meaning the let keyword allows you to reassign the what? The variable. Okay, it allows you to reassign or mutate the variable, changeable values. Now let's talk about the const. The const keyword is used for declaring constants, more like pi. Right now we know pi to be 3.142. That is to say, whenever you want to make something a constant variable that it cannot be reassigned anymore, it means it's called what? A constant. And we must do that using what? A const keyword. Yeah. So that is the three ways of declaring what? Variables in what? In JavaScript. Now let's talk about something called scope. Scope in JavaScript. Scope. What is a scope in JavaScript? So often the time there are, let's use this for example. When it comes to Ghana here, certain things like free senior high school, all right, it's only accessible by the citizens of Ghana. It means if an American who is not a citizen of Ghana comes to Ghana, he's not going to enjoy those words, benefits. He will still have to pay because he's not a citizen of Ghana. You understand? So it means that this particular policy is only enjoyable by citizens of Ghana within that particular Ghana scope. The same applies to functions. Right. Often at times you may declare some variables, and those variables will only be accessible by within a certain word scope. Quick example: we have three types of scope. All right. We have one, the global scope. We have two, local scope, and we have three, the blog scope. Right. So these are the three kinds of scope that we can talk of. Let's actually apply that in a code for you to understand more. So you can do something like, let's try let global bar equal to I am global. All right. Let's try to comment this one out. Okay, and when you come here, we have function. My function here. Okay, and we can have things like let local var equal to I am local. All right. So when it comes to this place, and we do console.log local var, and then we do console.log global var. Okay. And we can also come outside here and do console sorry about that, console.log global var. We can do console.log local var. Okay, so what is happening here? Okay, let me comment this one out first. So we have a function here. You understand? We have a function here, and we have a variable outside here. Now this is a global variable. Why am I saying it's a global variable? When it comes into this place, and let's try to call the function here. It's not showing. Let's try to call the function here. Okay, so this is what is showing here. This content is what's showing here. So we are actually logging the local var, that's the first one, and the global var. Now this one works fine. All right, it works fine, and the same applies to this one. It works fine. There's no error. Right. Note that the local variable has been defined here and the global variable has been defined here. So we are actually accessing this global variable on the outside from the inside. Take note of that. We have defined the global variable outside, but we are accessing from the inside of the function. And we have declared the local variable inside of the function, and we are accessing it right there in the function as well. But when we come outside like this, okay, and we try to, let's make this from outside, okay. So when you come to this place and you see that we are trying to log the global variable again, and it's working, okay, we are logging the global variable that we declared earlier on outside of the function, and it's working. But when you try to console.log the local variable here, we are going to get an error. What does it say? Reference error, local var is not defined. It's trying to say that the local variable is not defined. Meanwhile, we have defined it here. So why is it giving it an error? Why is it throwing an error? It's throwing an error because this is a local variable, meaning it's only available in this scope, in the function scope like this place. That is where this variable here, the local variable, is accessible. So when you try to access this thing outside of the function, it will throw an error. It will throw an error because it's only accessible within this function. But on the other hand, with the global variable, because it was declared outside the function, okay, it has a larger scope, meaning it can be accessed within the function, and it can also be accessed outside of the function. But this one can only be accessed inside the function and not outside the function. So that is scope. Okay. So we now know about what scopes are. So let's talk about data types in JavaScript. Data types in JavaScript. Data types in JavaScript. Data types in JavaScript. Okay. So we have different kinds of data types. Okay, we have the primitive data type and the non-primitive data type. All right. When you talk about primitive data type, we can talk of string. All right. And we write string in JavaScript using double quote like this. You bring a double quote and the name, you put in the name of the string that you want to use. Like you can say, so let's use a variable to do this. So we can do let my string be equal to Kobe. So this is how you write strings. This is a string in JavaScript. All right. That's one example of data type in JavaScript. We have another one that is number. Okay, so my number here. So numbers can be written like that without using the double quotes. So this is also another example of data type. And we can also have Boolean. So let's a student, okay, to let's say true. All right, so true or false are called Boolean in JavaScript. So we have string, number, Boolean, and we have now and undefined. Now and undefined. These are the data types that we have in JavaScript. Okay, so whenever you have an empty value, we call it now. That's an empty, the absence of a value. You understand? And whenever you have an unknown value, you understand, we call it undefined. You understand? Like more like you have declared a variable here, but you have not assigned a value. Okay, it means it's undefined. Okay, yes, but the intentional absence of a value is called now. So that is for data types in JavaScript. And we have more advanced data types, which includes objects and arrays. Objects and arrays. Okay, so we can talk of objects and arrays in the next sessions. Thank you very much, and this is the end of variables. Yes, so first of all, let's start with functions. What is a function? Okay, so when I say a function in JavaScript, it's really simple. Think about this. Um, when you go to a coffee shop, right, and you want to buy a coffee, or let's say you have a coffee machine in your house and you want to prepare coffee, what do? You just provide certain ingredients to the coffee machine, all right, and the coffee machine will have to do all the processing and everything and give you a feedback. All right, that is the coffee. So you may have to provide things like sugar, water, and coffee powder. You put it inside the machine and the machine will do the mix up and everything, the processing and everything, and it will hand over a coffee in a coffee cup to you as a return feedback. You understand? So you only provided sugar, water, and coffee powder, and the coffee machine will in turn give you a coffee already prepared in a coffee cup. So the coffee machine here has a particular functionality or purpose. You understand? You cannot use that same coffee machine to print books, no. So it has a specific task or role. The same applies to functions. Whenever you need to implement a logic that performs a particular function, you design it into a function. Whenever you need a particular block of code to perform a particular role or to perform a particular task, you write a function. So how do you write a function? It's really simple. You write a function by using a function keyword, okay? A function keyword. So this is an inbuilt keyword in JavaScript. So you just have to bring this inbuilt keyword and then followed by the name of the function. So let's say you want to write the name of function is greets, like this. You bring your bracket like this, opening and closing bracket like this. Sorry about that, tongue twisters. So you bring your curly braces like this as well. You open it. You understand? So the name of the function, opening and closing brackets, as well as opening and closing curly braces. You understand? So after doing this, what do you do again? So in the coffee machine, you may have to provide the sugar and everything. You understand? So the same applies to this greet function. Okay, we may have to provide certain ingredients to it, and those things are called parameters. We put them here inside this bracket. We put them here. This is where we put parameters. So let's assume the name. A name is the what parameter for this function. More like sugar is the ingredient in a coffee machine. You understand? So function greets like this, and then inside here, this is where we put our logic. This is where the processing goes on inside the coffee machine. You understand? So what do you do here? You do return let's say hello name, right? So what will happen here? Now you have a function that returns a value. What's the value? Hello name. You understand? What is happening here? When you provide the ingredients to the coffee machine, you wait for a while and it hands into your hands a coffee in a coffee cup. The same applies here. Every function must return a value. Every function must return more like the feedback it provides to you as a result of the task you gave it to perform. You understand? So that is a function. So here, what I'm doing here is called a template literal. You understand it in no time. A template literal. So what is a template literal? So a template literal was a feature that was actually introduced in the ES6. It allows you to create strings with embedded expressions. With embedded expressions in a more readable way. All right. You get to know more about it as we proceed. So let's see. So you just have to bring your backtick like this and the hello. All right. And you bring this $sign. Opening and closing curly braces like this, and the name of the what parameter in here. You understand? So this will actually print something like, let's say console.log greets and then inside here we provide the name, the parameter, let's say copy. So let's run it and see. Okay, let's open our console. Okay, so we can see here, you can see we have hello Kobe in here, hello Kobe. Right, so if you do know how to connect, if you do not know how to use the console, all right, I have a separate tutorial that shows you how to use the console and the Chrome Dev Tools for learning JavaScript and for debugging. Okay, I'll put the link in the description below. So we just have to link up your HTML like this, all right, to your JavaScript file like that. You understand? And then you install the Go Live server. So after clicking on Go Live, right, you right click and then go to inspect. All right, inspect, and then you click here, go to console. So it has opened your console for you, and you see the live view of what you are doing, the JavaScript you are writing. So you see hello Kobe, you understand? So you can also do another one like all right, so we have hello Kobe and hello Francis, you understand? So we've called the greet function here, you understand, and we've provided what's the argument you are supposed to give it to. That is in here. We said that before you can run this function, all right, you must provide a certain parameter to a certain ingredient. Before you can prepare the coffee, you need to provide a coffee powder, you understand? So the same thing is what you're doing here. So we call the greet function, and then inside the what bracket you bring the what, the ingredients. Here is Kobe and here is Francis, and they are all what, printing what on the screen like this. So this is what a function does. It performs a particular task. So quick example, write a function that takes two numbers and print their sum on the screen. Write a function that takes two numbers and print their sum on the screen. I assume you're done by now, so let's get it done. So what you do is you first of all declare your function. So function sum. So the sum here becomes the name of our function, which is supposed to add two numbers for us, all right? And we have to, the numbers you are supposed to add here will become the ingredients you provide to the coffee machine. So let's assume we have A and B, all right? Bracket close and open. So return what? A plus B. All right, so this A and B are the parameters, they are the ingredients, because you're supposed to write a function that returns the sum of two numbers, and we assume that A represents the first number, B represents the second number, and return their sum like doing A plus B. All right, so you have to do console.log sum, and then we provide those values, which are, let's say, 4. So we are just calling the sum on an example to see what we get. 5. So what do we have now? We have 9, as is showing 9. You understand? So basically, this is how to declare a function in JavaScript. Okay. Now in ES6 we have another way of writing functions called the what? Arrow functions, alright? So the way to do that is to do const. So let's say we want to write, let's say we want to write this function in an arrow function form. What you have to do is to write const, the name of the function, that is greets, alright, equal to this, that we bring in the parameter, and then we bring our queries like this. Okay, we have to bring our, yes, like that. Good. So this is what an arrow function. So in an arrow function, we do not use the word function keyword. So our arrow functions are more like a new way of writing function. So instead of doing this, you can do that. This is an arrow function. You understand? Yes. And this is a new feature introduced in ES6. All right. So we are done with functions. So the next thing is to talk about closures. What is a closure in JavaScript? Okay. Now, closures in JavaScript refers to a function that remembers the lexical environment in which it was created. Okay. So a quick example. Let's look at a function which actually increases its count value by, let's say, 1 anytime it's called. You understand? So let's actually define the function real quick, and then we can use that to explain what a closure is. So we do that by doing function, all right, create counter, okay, and then in the create counter we can do something like let count equal to, let's say, 0. That's the initial value. So we have declared a variable called count towards 0, all right, and then in the function, that is in this particular function, we declare another function inside it. You understand? So that is what the outer function will have to return. So let's see, return function, and then we can do something like counts plus plus. All right, so count plus plus is a way of increasing the count value by what? 1 anytime this what block is called. It increases the variable by what? 1. So we then return what? Okay, let's log it. Console.log counts. So what is happening here? Okay, let's try to print it out first. So let's say const counter. All right, we can call the create count function, create counter function, and then over here we can call the counter and see what we have. So let's call the counter about 3 or 4 times. Okay, so what do we have? We have 1, 2, 3. Now what is actually happening here? This is called a closure. All right, so we have an outer function. Okay, we have an outer function. This is the outer function. All right, that's the create counter. That's the outer function, and we have an inner function here. All right, now this inner function is able to access this variable declared on it outside lexical environment. Yeah, so what is a lexical environment? A lexical environment, like I mentioned, refers to the scope or context in which variables and functions are defined. All right, so this function, the lexical environment, is inside here, and this outside environment, that is the lexical environment. So if it's able to access this variable and manipulate it, all right, it means this function is closed over this variable. All right, it's closed. So this function is what? A closure. You understand? Because it is able to access its outer what? Variable and modify and update it. So this is an example of what? A closure. So a closure in JavaScript refers to the function that remembers the lexical environment in which it was created, even after the outer function has what? Finished executing. So in this context, if this function finishes executing, this inner function is still able to keep live the value of what? The current value of what? Counts, and then update it accordingly. Just like it, you can see 1, 2, 3, and then it moves on. You understand? So this is an example of a closure. You understand? Okay. So classes have characteristics like being an inner function, having access to the outer words, variables, and they are also mostly used in encapsulations, concepts, and other stuff like that. So that is a closure, all right? Very simple. That is a closure. Having an inner function, being able to access its outer lexical environment variables, and keeping it alive even after the outer function has finished executing, like in this example. Okay, so let's talk about the next thing, that is objects. What is an object in JavaScript? Now, JavaScript as a language has got several data types. Okay, we have string, number, big ends, now, symbol, and objects. We have undefined as well, and boolean as well. Okay, but we are going to focus on objects. What is an object? Because that is what we mostly use. So an object in JavaScript, okay, it's a complex data type that can hold multiple values as properties, you understand? And each property consists of a key and a value. Each property consists of a key and a value. So let me explain to you in a moment with an example. Let's go into our code and do something like const person. We can have, okay, we can have name and then John. Okay, and then we can have something like age, let's see, 30. Okay, so this is an example of an object in JavaScript. So an object actually defines, or it's a way of keeping a collection of data in JavaScript, and this data can be of different types. They can be of what? Different types. It can contain string, it can contain functions, numbers, booleans, and whatever data type that you want to. That is in what? An object. So as you can see, this is an object, and this is how to define an object. You just bring your const keyword and the name of the object. So the name of the object here is person, you understand? Equal sign, and then you bring your privileges like that. And in here, this is what we call the key value pair. So this is the key, the name is the key, and the John here is the value. The same applies to this one. 8 is the key and 30 here is the value, meaning we can only access the John or the 30 by using their keys. That is how object works. So you can include another data type like a function. Okay, just like we said, an object can contain several data types. Okay, so you can include a function like, let's say, greets. Let's do function, something like that, and we can do something like console.log. Hello. Let's use, okay, I think that's okay. Hello, my name is, and we can do something like concatenation this dot name. Okay, now let's see what this one will actually print out. So we can do something like person, okay, dots greets, all right, like that. And then we have hello, my name is John. So I just wanted to confirm the output. So let's see. So this is an example of an object. Like I said, we have a function as a data type in here. Age is also a different data type, and we have name as well, you understand? So that is what an object, and you can see that it contains a defined data, I mean about a particular entity. So you can have an object of a car. Okay, an object of a car can contain things like the car model, the brand, the engine, the properties it has like start engine, stop engine, the color, and all these things. All right, when they come together, they form an object, mean a collection of data about one particular entity. You understand? So that is what an object is. Okay, so whenever in you are programming or you are building something and you need to keep a collection of data, right, about one particular entity, you can use what an object. Okay, so how do you access object properties? All right, how do you access object properties? So let's say you have defined this object. Let me clean this one up. You have defined the objects here, that is about person. All right, now you want to access the content in this object. How do you do that? We have two ways of doing that. We have two ways of doing that. That is using a dot notation or a bracket notation. All right, so in using a dot notation, you can do something like okay, you can do person. You call this person, that's the name of the object, and then you bring your what dots like that, and then inside the what object you add the key that you want to actually log its detail. All right, so let's say the keys, we have name, age, and greet, but I want to actually log the name. All right, so the key for login, the key for the name is what? Name, right? So you can do name, and then we should have what? Our detail. That we should have what? Our detail, but we have to log it. So let's do console.log. All right, and then person dot name like that. So we can see John. We've been able to access John. So you can either do it this way, or you can do console. That is the bracket notation. So the first one is the dot notation, and the second one I'm about to show you is the bracket notation. You do person, and then you bring your square bracket like that. You bring in your key like this. You understand? So okay, sorry, you have to put this thing around, quotation marks around like that. All right, so this is how to access the content of an object. First of all, using a word. This is the dot notation, and then we have the brackets notation. So the same way, if we want to access the greet function, how do you do that? We can just do because greet is a function, we can just call it without using the console.log. So we can do greets. Greet is embedded in what? In person object. You understand? And greet here is the key. So when we call the greets here, that's the key here, it's going to call this function. That's what we want to do. You understand? So we can do person like that, dots, using the dot notation, dot what? Greets like that. And then we are calling what? Our greet function, like hello, my name is what? John. As simple as ABC. So you can access objects by using the dot notation or what? The bracket notation. You understand? And we can also decide to modify the content of an object. All right, we can decide to modify the content of an object. Let's see what happens here. So in a moment, let's clean up this one, and let's do person dot name equal to Francis. You understand? And when we come down here and do person dot console dot log person dot name, what are we having here? So you can see that now the person's name has changed to Francis, because we have actually reassigned a new value to it called Francis. So this is how to modify it. So you just call the key or the value you want to modify and assign the current value that you want to assign. All right, so we have actually this one overrides the initial value, which was John. You understand? So that is how to modify the values in words. And we can also add new properties to an object. All right, now this is one property. That is the name is one property, the age is another property, and the greet is also another property. So all these are the properties of a person, all right, and we have listed them out in the object. All right, so we can also add another property. How do we do that? That is, when we have already created the object, and we don't want to go by and modify it, kind of do things like location, and then no, we don't want to do that. We just want to, we are assuming that we cannot access the object anymore, right? So we just want to modify it, you understand? So we can do things like person, that's the name of the object, right? And then what do you want to, what's the new property that we want to add? We want to add a property called location. Is that correct? So the location will have, which is the key as well, will have a value called, let's say, New York. You understand? So over here we have modified the content. Now let's try to log the object and see what we have. Console.log person. So when you open person like this, you can see we have age 30, greet, that is the function, location New York. Now New York or location as a property has been added to the object, but initially it wasn't part of it. But we have modified it here and added the word location property to it. So that is a way to modify and add new property to an object. And we can also delete what? Certain properties. We can also delete properties. So just as we have added a new property here, we can delete some of the properties by doing, let's say we want to delete the age property because it's not needed anymore. We can just do delete, all right? You can just do delete like this, all right? And then we call the name of that particular, the key of that particular what? Property that we want to delete. So we can do person dot age, all right, like that. All right, now when we try to log the person again, we'll see that the age will be missing. All right, so let's see person like that, and then let's open it. So you can see that the age has been deleted, and it's no more in here. All right, we have deleted the age. You understand? So that is a way to delete objects, properties from what? An object. So that is basically a little bit about objects, and the more you kind of explore and use it, the more you get conversant with some of the content. You also learn about looping, how to loop through objects, and other things in the long run. Thank you very much.